It is Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here. Patrick Reusse with me as usual. Patrick, we got a lot to get to. I know I say that every week, but we're back into football season now, and so it really takes on some urgency. We're going to get to the Vikings in a little bit here, Patrick. I want to start with the Twins today, though, because there's going to be a lot of Vikings talk this week. Probably some Twins talk, too, but swept by the Royals. Rocco Baldelli, manager who does not usually get after them very much. Has
Ooh,
pretty terse post game yesterday. Doesn't take questions from reporters. There's like a closed clubhouse. Some raised voices. Says unprofessional is the key word here. What does unprofessional series mean to you?
oh, it means they didn't hit, but
It means they
I
played
think
like they
it's
played lousy, right? Yeah,
well, look at their lineup for
I
God's
know.
sakes, and the fact they're not scoring any runs shouldn't surprise anybody. But I would have, if I would have been at that meeting, I would have said one question before you leave, Skip. Why'd you take Ober out last night?
Exactly.
Why did you take Ober out? 83 pitches, 15 straight outs, and he gets an extra day before he pitches next time. He's
Yep.
not scheduled. He won't be scheduled till next Friday. What was that? I don't, I know managers are supposed to be clairvoyant and look ahead, but sometimes let's use the judgment of what you are seeing happen and not what you think might happen. And why did you think? The other thing is he was facing the bottom of the order. He was going to face the bottom of the order in the eighth inning. It made no sense. I wish Ober would have grabbed him by the collar and put him up against the wall like Jack Morris did with Kelly in game
Game
seven
seven.
in
Yeah.
'91. I mean, Ober didn't want to leave. He didn't even think there was a possibility he was going to leave. What was that? That was. I know he's been defended. You got your two best relievers.
Right.
Blah blah blah. If this was the playoffs, well, yeah, it wasn't the playoffs though. But it was as important as a playoff game. And the guy had 15 straight, one hit allowed. What? One hit, one walk, right?
One hit the whole game. Yeah.
Yeah, one hit, one walk. It makes no sense.
No.
I mean, and about what, two starts ago, we were worried about the guy because he got hammered that one game. Well, he just came back and he's had two great starts in a row. It made no sense, and Rocco really disappointed me because he wouldn't take any blame for hooking him in that
No, he
situation.
didn't.
He was very defensive, and then to turn around and scream at his team yesterday after the game. Well, those aren't unprofessional at bats. That's an unprofessional lineup, is what he's got out there now. You look at the lineup; it's terrible. But
Wait.
Ryan Jeffers is one of your key hitters, and he's hitting 230. Willie Castro's gone backwards and become Willie Castro. Uh, Brooks
Royce
Lee is Brooks
Royce
Lee
Lewis
doesn't.
has
Royce Lewis is awful. He looks like he's hurt to me. I don't know. He doesn't look healthy, man. He looks like he's overmatched. Hey, the other thing about this guy is he's not an athlete anymore. He was an athlete, but he ended up gaining about 25 pounds of muscle, and he's just a muscle-bound third baseman now who's not very good. You can put him at second, but he's not the phenom everybody hoped he was. He's hitting, what, 225 or something like that, and he's, for the last month, he's hitting zero. So
yeah.
it's a home run every once in a while. He runs into a home run, but beyond that, he's been terrible. Well, look at the lineup. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. They're not a. I don't think they'll. I mean, they could still make the playoffs. I guess the Angels, though, they got the worst record except for the Mighty Whiteys, but
Yeah.
they
They
got
don't count.
they
Yeah.
got the second worst record in the American League. But they're going to come in here and they'll have as good a lineup as you have.
Yes.
Yeah, the lineup will be the same. So I don't know. Uh, they're 6-14 since April, since August 17th, 20 games, and they're just not very good right now. Their lineup's terrible,
No.
and the pitching, you got two starters you can trust. David Fest has been pretty good lately. Simeon was, yeah, they hooked him early again yesterday.
Really?
He hung in there, and Zebby Matthews shouldn't be in the big leagues. He's given up 32 hits in 22
Well,
innings.
he
So
started the year in Class A. I
I
mean,
know, I
we like
know.
him. He probably shouldn't. Yeah, he
Yeah,
probably shouldn't be here. He's being asked to do
yeah,
too much. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, he is. He seems like a nice young fella, and maybe they can teach him another pitch by next year that he could get somebody out with. But he shouldn't be in your rotation right now. That's for sure. So. They brought this on themselves by not doing anything when they lost Sonny Gray way back when.
Yes.
Chris Paddock was going to remember when Chris Paddock was going to be a
Oh,
starter
geez.
for you, and
Yeah.
yeah,
When he made
he's been
17
gone.
starts. Yeah.
Yeah, he made 17 starts, but he also, he pitched 2 games in the playoffs since he had Tommy John in May of 2022, and you thought. I don't know. Let me say this about them. For 3.5 months, they were way better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
From the end of
Yep.
April until the middle of August, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They were good, but they aren't good right now, and they aren't.
No.
Correa might. Well, he's getting better. His foot felt better. But by the way, he's not going to play this week. Okay,
Well,
so that only leaves you with 2 weeks, right?
and you got Buxton, who you thought maybe you were going to get him back for the Royals
Mhm.
series. That's a little bit of an emotional letdown. Kepler goes on the injured list at the same time, but Buxton not coming back. You probably could have gotten a jolt there. Not that that's
Yes.
an excuse, but that plays a little bit. You think, okay, here comes somebody who might be able to help, and all of a sudden he's not back too. It's just
Yeah.
everything's coming on him at once.
Oh yeah, and it's weird. How weird was that game in St. Paul? He gets
Right.
thrown out by the
Yes.
plate umpire, and then he leaves the game after 3 innings, and they said, "Oh, by the way, his hip's sore
Yeah.
again." So
Great rehab assignment. What?
forget it. He had 1 5 inning and 1 3 inning rehab assignment, and his hip sore again. So
What? When did
and
we
it,
decide we had to go on these rehab assignments, by the way?
I don't know.
It's
I don't
just
know.
when you're healthy, just can you, is it
Yeah,
not?
go play.
Can you go play for the big league team?
Go play, take one day of BP with them, and let's go. Come on, I agree with that. But and the trouble is, about 70% of the guys they've sent out for rehab don't make it through the rehab
No.
assignment. And they end
Yeah,
up
got to shut him
Buck,
down. It's not
I was over there last year when they sent him on the rehab assignment. He was playing center field. They hit 2 routine balls to him that he had to move 4 feet for, and then he couldn't play again. So
right.
he's got but but fans want to get on him. He's not tough, blah, blah, blah. He's got a bad skeleton. That's his problem. He's got a bad skeleton. He's just not ever, he played 90 games this year, right?
He almost
90,
got, yeah, he almost got to 100. He almost got there.
90 games, and for 2 months, he was by
fantastic.
far better than I ever thought
Yes.
he'd be again. And then,
Yes.
once he started hitting again, he was running the bases, but he's not, he's not, that body of his is not, as soon as you heard it was a hip, you knew he was in trouble because 2 years ago, or
Yep.
3 years ago, 21, when he had the hip, he missed 2 months. So anyway.
The concern for this year is real, right? Obviously, because they're limping. They got 20 games left. There's 3 teams that if they get hot for a week could pass the Twins, right?
They don't have to get that hot, by the way.
No,
if they
go like
win,
5 and if they go 5-2, they catch the Twins.
If they go 5
probably.
and 2, goodbye.
Yeah.
So,
but beyond this year, it is a massive concern that you've got what 50 million a year or so tied up in Correa and Buxton.
yes,
And both of them, I mean, we've known Buxton's history for a while, and it's different things for him. So, maybe you've got some hope that it smooths itself out. But Correa with the plantar fasciitis now in the bad foot, the one with the ankle from 10 years ago, where they're like, actually, that still's kind of a problem. That with 4 years left on his contract is a big concern, especially if you're talking about payroll and stuff like that.
Now, when people rip him for the Buxton thing, giving him $100 million, he took, because he knew his own injury history. He took about half.
Yes,
what he would have made if he was healthy.
Right.
Because he 21, he actually had a good year until he got hurt.
I don't think that was a bad contract, but it's concerning for a team with payroll concerns.
Yeah, yes, and now, Correa's, I mean, the guy was. Well, I always what I said all year until we got hurt was he gives you class.
Hmm.
He gives you class. He is a fantastic shortstop.
Hmm.
He's a fantastic professional. He's
Hmm.
always in the right place. He always makes the right play. He always makes the right throw. And then when he started hitting too,
Hmm.
it was. I mean, he was a fantastic player. But
He was having a great year. Yes.
yeah, and now I don't know. I heard that even though what he said publicly when they didn't do anything at the trading deadline, I heard he was not real happy
Oh,
with
I'm
the
sure.
boys there.
I'm
So
sure none of them are. I'm sure none of them are
no,
happy.
no.
Royce is unhappy still that he had to play second base a couple times. Like it's getting pretty. It's negative right now. It's very negative right
Oh,
now. They get two, easy-ish series now, right? The Angels and the Reds. I mean,
yeah, but the
no,
Reds.
they're not layups, but
When you
they're
look
off.
at the Reds, the Reds just swept Houston.
Okay.
A week, cooled off Houston. So you look at the Reds lineup and the Twins lineup, you might like the Reds lineup better than the
Well,
Twins lineup.
the,
So
the
I
Reds
wouldn't
lineup has
say
a
anything's easy.
no,
Yeah.
not easy, but I'm saying
Well,
opportunity.
yeah, yes.
Opportunity this week to get better, to right yourself, and to make it
They
not seem like the sky is falling.
you talked about they need they need to win two series. They got to
Yeah.
beat the Angels 2 out of 3 and Cincinnati 2 out of 3 and right the ship. But really, what difference does it make? Who are they going to beat? They're not going to
Yeah.
beat anybody. They get into the
It's
playoffs.
yeah.
Well, you got to do. Well, you get maybe the 3 gamer with Lopez and Ober if you can win the first two, but the lineup just terrible. So
Yeah.
they're not. They're last year at this. They drove us crazy all last season. Because they
Yes.
why is Joey Gallo playing?
I
They
forgot
drove
Joey
it. They
Gallo was on the team last year. Yeah.
well, yeah, they finally stopped playing him in September. But last year at this time, they were playing good, because
Yes.
they kind of started to play well. So even though this has been a better team for 5 months,
Right.
it's not a better team now.
No.
It's a bad
No.
team.
It is a bad team. We'll see if they
And
can get.
by the way,
Yeah.
tickets are available. And then
I'm
we're
sure.
not alone. The Twins aren't alone in that area. It's amazing. I was looking at the crowds over Labor Day weekend around
Hmm.
baseball. Fantastic. I was looking Tuesday. They had like everybody who had 35,000 the day before had 12 on Tuesday because school
Everyone's like
started
back to
around
school,
the
football. It's
yeah,
like
we got
we'll
football. Okay.
we'll pay
Yeah, I
attention
mean,
again when the playoffs come around.
it
You go
was
ahead and do. You go ahead
it
and do
was
September.
unbelievable the way the attendance went. I mean, some places like Atlanta and some of those places, they still had their crowds, but there's a lot of them just went whoosh. So, and that'll happen here too. But yeah, I mean, people are really down on this team. I'm down on them, but I'm down on them because they aren't good.
Yeah.
That's not because they're. I'm down on him because he took out Bailey over after
Yeah.
15 straight outs,
Yeah.
but I'm not down on what they're losing because they're not good right now.
Right.
It's not because
Right.
of lack of effort or
Not
being
because they're
unprofessional.
unprofessional. They're
It's not because
unprofessional.
of that. That's a
If they're
bunch of crap.
if they're unprofessional, it's because they lack professional hitters right now. That's what
Yes,
it is.
yes, that's right. They're unprofessional because Tommy Watson once again got a guy
Oh
thrown out
boy.
by 15 feet.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about Tommy? He
I
will
don't
not be
know.
back next year at the third. He might
No.
be on the staff, but he'll be in the
Yeah.
dugout because he's
Well,
had 3 or 4 disasters in the last month.
well, it was Miranda they sent this
Miranda
time too, right? Miranda's not
can't
fast.
run.
He's not going to
He can't.
outrun a play. He's not going to
No,
outrun a play.
no, and
Yeah.
I don't know what's gotten into him. Remember, he was very controversial his first year there, and then he kind of leveled off. But he got who did he get thrown out by? Like one of the worst sends I've ever seen last homestand. That last
I can't
homestand, he
remember,
got
but
somebody thrown up by 12 feet, and Miranda was out by 10 feet yesterday.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not good. We might have to have the Steve Little emergency change of third base coach.
Oh,
Who was
Steve
that we
Little.
fired as the third base coach, and let's put Steve Little down there
Oh,
on
I can't.
guarding?
Oh, I can't remember,
Guarding,
but
who did we fire? Because
oh, I can't remember, but
he was getting too many guys thrown out.
you know what?
Steve Little wouldn't send him if they hit a home run.
if you're gonna be a coach on a staff, pick first base. A lot
Yeah,
less
oh God,
controversy
yeah,
over there.
yeah.
Just go and
Hank
mind your own
Conacher,
business.
Hank, nice guy, gets to go over and pat him on the back.
Pat him on the shoulder when they get
Yeah.
a single.
And
Good
then
job.
the guy, what is the guy, when you see the guy, the lefty to throw over, you say, get
Yep.
back.
Let's get back.
That's
Get
all you got
back.
to do is say, get back.
Yep.
That's it.
Go and
That's,
whisper in their ear, pretend like there's
that's,
something important to say. Like, hey,
yeah.
you go. How's it going? So yeah,
Well,
it's
anyway, they're right now, I'd say they're playing like they should
yeah.
because they
I think
aren't
that's
that
fair.
good.
I think that's
They aren't
fair.
that good. You look at that lineup and wow, and now, as much as I hated him as an outfielder, Margot, that hurts him not having him
Yeah.
against a left-handed
Yeah.
pitcher. And Kepler, but
Kepler wasn't playing, but he
Kepler's
was.
Kepler.
Yeah.
Kepler, I mean, he was 2 months last year. One reason you were good last September is Kepler was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kepler was terrific down the stretch,
Mm-hmm.
but he was always going to be Kepler again.
Right. Yep.
And he started off okay this year, but he's been bad for 4 months. So who
Yep.
cares? He's gone. He's gone. Goodbye to him. That's $11
Oh yeah.
on the $11 million on the payroll
Yes.
next year. So.
Yeah. Maybe they can sign a pitcher. Don't know yet if the Vikings are good because the Giants, I think we know, are bad. But that was a good debut yesterday. Maybe over. That's understating it. They were pretty impressive. Darnold starts the game. Sam Darnold with 12 straight completions.
Yes.
The defense. I don't think defense was really good. I like this Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel is. I like him. Man, he made like 3 plays yesterday that were game turning plays, including of course that pick six that basically iced the game, although I think they win it anyway.
And
Aaron Jones.
Turner's going to be the rookie NFL's defensive rookie of the year. All right. Okay, let me tell you that right now.
He's a beast.
That's
Aaron Jones.
fantastic.
Aaron Jones was really good. Good. A lot of the new guys showed up in this game, and you saw kind of the vision, I guess, of how they're going to win this year. They're not going to throw it a ton, but it didn't feel like they weren't throwing it.
They're going to throw. They're going to throw. I think not as much, but
they're not going to throw as much as they did with Kirk. But they'll still throw. But they had a pretty good 50-50 balance yesterday because they were ahead. But yeah, the defense, I've said it since the beginning of the season, since beginning of the preseason. I think that was the reason they could potentially be a playoff team. Man, if they keep the defense relatively healthy, that's going to be a really good defense.
Let me say this. First of all, I thought Craig made a great point this morning that why was Aaron Jones in the game running the ball when you got the game won?
Trying to get him 100 yards.
O'Connell said he's trying to get him 100 yards, try to keep him healthy because he's very important to you. But in retrospect, after once again watching the god-awful Daniel Jones play for the Giants, that loss here 2 years ago should be a historic defeat in Viking history that you managed to get carved up by this guy.
Yeah.
And Kirk ended up getting beat. And I mean, that is an ungodly loss when you consider but you know who that loss hurt? That loss hurt the Giants more than the Giants winning that game hurt the Giants more than it hurt the Vikings. Here's what happened. 2 great things. If you're playing the Giants. A, they paid Daniel Jones, and B, you didn't pay Kirk. You got rid of Kirk 1 year later. The greatest thing, if Kirk had won that game and you'd gone on and had a playoff run, you would have ended up bringing that ship back.
100%.
Now you got rid of him. He goes down there. I turned on his game for 8 seconds yesterday, and the first thing is he threw an 8-yard interception to a guy standing right in front of him. And I couldn't stand the guy. Okay, I never liked him here. He still ended up. Now he finished a lot of drives a couple years ago, but he ended up kicking more field goals from the 8-yard line than any quarterback ever.
And that was go ahead. Yeah,
but and I didn't like him as a human being because he's a fraud, in my opinion. But this team, I've been very positive about this team since the draft, and because somehow they got Turner, who might have been the best player in the draft. But the other thing is, They might have talked like they want to bring him back. They were never going to bring him
No.
back. Kwesi and O'Connell were not bringing him back. They were ready to go. They wanted to go. The ship had sailed. They got rid of Kirk, and the Darnold was just fine yesterday,
Hmm.
and he can play as long as McCarthy's healing up and next year. Now, if Darnold's as good as he was yesterday, they're going to have to trade McCarthy before next year. So,
Oh, come
anyway,
on. Yeah. Yeah. He was good.
but he was good yesterday, and he's an athlete, and he's okay, and yeah, they look great. I don't know how bad the Giants are.
They're
Uh,
terrible. They're really bad.
well,
I think they're really
plus, I
bad.
mean, how can you have any self-respect if you have to come out and wear those uniforms they're
Oh,
wearing?
man. Those
I
were,
mean, I'd,
yeah.
I'd look at myself when I was leaving the locker room and be too embarrassed to go out on the field and dress up like soupy sales, for
Kind of
God's sake.
seemed like they were embarrassed. They didn't.
Yeah,
You know,
what's what was the clown on the Mary Tyler Moore show? The
I
guy
don't
with
know.
the
You're
seltzer in
dating
his
me a little bit. I
pants,
can't
or
remember.
what?
Yeah.
But
You,
I mean, they look like complete idiots, and they are complete idiots, and they're stuck with Daniel Jones, who's terrible. And how did he carve this team up
well,
2 years ago?
I'll tell you
Because
how
one thing, because
because
they
you
didn't go after him was one
well,
thing.
yeah, you forgot the best part about that game is that they got rid of Donatel too and got
Yes,
Flores in
right.
here.
Yeah,
That was
that's
the other
right.
thing that turned this franchise around is they changed
Yeah.
defensive coordinators after that game.
Okay. I think I said it on this show a couple of times. This whole idea that this was a tremendous division that they were having to play in and they might be fourth. I've been telling you that was crap from the
Yeah.
start. The Packers are going to be 2-8 before Jordan Love comes back.
Oh,
Forget them. Put
okay.
a
All right.
fork in them. They're dead. Well, they're not going to win any games with Malik
He
Willis
he might
playing.
only miss a few weeks though. I don't know.
He's gonna miss 6 weeks at least.
They're gonna be careful with
He's gonna
him, I'm
miss
sure.
six.
Yes.
They're gonna be 2-8. They're dead. They're done. The
Okay.
Bears stink.
Yeah.
They got two fluke touchdowns
Right.
yesterday and won the game. Caleb Williams wasn't even throwing it in the same area code when he had an open receiver yesterday. They're stink. It's the Vikings and the Lions are overrated. So, because
Okay.
they're the Lions. The
Right.
Lions. If it comes down to the Vikings and the Lions will win because you know why? I mean, the
Hmm.
Vikings will win. You know why? Because they're the
Why?
Lions.
Because they're
They'll
the Lions.
always figure out a way to screw it up.
And as,
I've been
as
watching
much
them
as much as you might think the Vikings always find a way to screw it up, the Lions
since
are experts at this.
Bud Grant arrived in 1967. You know why Bud's in the Hall of Fame? The Lions.
The Lions.
You know
Yeah.
what Mike Tyson, Brad Childress' record was against the Lions? 16-1.
16-1.
16
It's
and 1. They're
amazing.
the Lions. They're
Yeah.
gonna stink. I know they're not gonna stink, but they're not gonna be
They're
nearly as
not going to
good
be as
as
good as we think. Yeah.
everybody thinks.
You don't
Yes.
think
In
they're a
fact,
Super Bowl contender? I'm taking it.
well, no, I don't think
No.
they are.
Okay.
I don't think they're
You
Super Bowl favorites. By the way, all our picks in the Star Tribune were very pessimistic. I think,
yes.
were you the only guy that had them over 500?
No, Kramer. Kramer had him at 9-8. I had him at seven
Nine,
and
eight.
ten,
You had them at 7 and 10. Somebody
which
else had them
I
eight
still
and
think
nine.
7 and 10 is going to be about right, but we'll see.
Uh,
It gives you
not if that defense. The defense is better. I
it
don't know
is.
how.
It's a
What
lot
did
better.
Hunter do yesterday for Houston? Anything?
I didn't see, but man, yeah, the front seven has a lot more players that can deploy. If you can keep
Yes.
those three corners 80% on the field this year, and you don't have to use too much, Caleb Evans or the other guys you got back there. Yeah, the defense is going to be good. Now I don't know how Darnold won't play like that every week. He's going to have his moments, but he looked good. I like what he did. I like the game plan they had. Jones is tremendous, right? Like he's like, he's aged a little bit better than Dalvin Cook, right? Like, 'cause they're about the same age. So
Yeah.
they haven't had a
Well,
back like him.
he has had injuries, but
Yes, but they haven't had a back as good as him since like Cook
oh no,
of like of the Cook of like 3 or 4 years ago was about kind of what we're talking about with the excuse me with
my
him. So
My son Chris is pretty smart about most of this stuff, even though he does it in a quiet manner. He's made this mention to me a couple months ago. When the Packers have been good the last few years, Aaron Jones was hurt, healthy and playing. When
Yes.
it's been bad, he wasn't. When their
Yep.
offense wasn't, and that is pretty accurate. He's terrific. I thought it was you getting him for $7 million. That's a pretty good bargain. If he
I agree.
plays if he only misses 3 or 4 games, and the other
Yeah.
guy looks okay too. The
Chandler's all
backup.
right. Yeah, he's okay. I think Jones you just watch him run and he knows where the holes are and he's still got
Oh
that
yeah.
burst. He's still got the burst at his age too, which,
Listen,
29, we talk about it like he's ancient. He's like, almost
listen.
20 years younger than me, but
Look at this team, and gee, I hate to be the optimist because I've spent my whole life
someone's
being
got to.
pessimist.
You're
But
the contrarian at
look at
least. Go
this.
ahead.
Look, no, but I'm not a contrary. Look at their offensive line. This is the best offensive line they've had in a long time. The tackles are, you wouldn't trade your tackles for any other
No.
collection of tackles in the NFL. And the guards are guards, and Bradbury's played a lot. And once in a while he
Right.
gets overwhelmed, but their offensive line's fine. They didn't have Hawkinson, and they
Right.
still they got tight ends who catch the ball once a little bit and will block, and they're going to be a very physical team, both offensively and defensively, and that's good. That's good. I got to make one other comment about the
Mm-hmm.
NFL opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That new kickoff thing was really exciting, wasn't it? Man,
geez.
alive!
Oh,
I
man.
was on the edge of my seat
Oh,
every time
boy.
I waiting for these returns. Was there one any time in
I,
the whole? I
there's
saw
a few.
25 kickoffs. Every one of them was a touchback. What a bunch of overrated
I,
crap that was.
I think the Giants ran one back yesterday just because they got bored. But yeah, it was. I. What are you going to do at a certain point? Do you just have to eliminate the
You gotta,
play?
well, if
You have
you
to
wanna, if
put
you
the touchback to
want,
the 35. Like,
if you want, if you want to have them return the ball, you got to put the kickoff back to where it used to be,
yeah, that's
so
true
it
too.
doesn't always go through the end zone.
Yeah.
Everybody says, well, we're all working on our plans and training camp of what we're going to do with the kickoff. Okay, you're going to kick it in the end zone, in the
Yep.
back of the end zone, and
Give
you're
them
going to
five
take it
more
out to
yards.
the
That's fine.
25. Yeah,
Yeah, to the 30. Yeah.
yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, that was not exciting.
It was not exciting. It was a load of BS.
You mentioned.
Meanwhile,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say
Meanwhile,
you mentioned Kirk. We probably should talk about him a little bit more too, because very first drive of his Falcons tenure, third and goal from the Pittsburgh 13, pass to Bijan Robinson for 7 yards, sets up a 23-yard field goal.
yes, another one
Next
looked good on the stats, right? Another
next
completion.
next drive was an
Yeah.
interception. He got a touchdown towards the end of the half, but then second half went fumble, punt on a check down, punt on another check down, punt, interception, and then sack to end the game. That was
Yeah.
and the last punt was they had it 3rd and 11 from their own 5, and he threw an 8-yard pass.
He was,
So
in other
there you
words, he
go.
was Kirk.
He was Kirk. I mean, not
And
the
he had,
interception. He doesn't usually throw the 2 interceptions, but yes, that was very much a Kirk game, right? 10 points scored. They lose to Justin Fields. Like I tweeted yesterday, if ever there was a day for Mike Zimmer to finally text Rick Spielman back, yesterday was the day. But anyway, not a good day for Kirk.
no, and yes, it was right. And by the way, Zim's defense last night was fantastic.
Yep.
They were absolutely pummeling. Who the heck were they killing?
Deshaun Watson.
Oh boy, how would you like to be paying that guy
Ooh.
$800 million?
Seriously,
He stinks.
he's one of the worst
He's a-
quarterbacks in the league now. What
He's
happened?
a smug guy too,
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
now that he can't go to the massage parlor, he's really bad. I don't know, but he's he's gonna get our guy fired. It was
Stefanski? Yeah.
2-time coach of the year. He's gonna get him fired because
Yeah.
he's terrible. He was
Yeah, they were better off with
against-
Flacco last year. They were
Yeah,
better off with Flacco.
yeah, he was brutal yesterday, but they don't
Yeah.
know what they gave him up. Not only they gave up
It was
a
guaranteed.
raft, they gave up a raft of draft choices and a tremendously expensive deal.
Expensive, fully
So,
guaranteed deal, if I'm not mistaken, too. So there's no getting out of cap jail free on those guaranteed deals. Those all count on you. So yeah, that's
well, meanwhile, his old club ends up getting C.J. Stroud, who's
yeah,
great. How
yeah.
about him turning out that whole class 2 years ago? You were looking at those quarterbacks, and he was probably the most unlikely one to be great. It's just that you never know, really.
Yeah, Bryce
He's
Young
got
had another tough day
oh,
yesterday. The
he's
Carolina's terrible. Who'd they get pummeled by? They got absolutely routed. Oh, it was the Saints, I
47
think.
to 10
I think it
by
was the
the
Saints.
Saints.
Yeah,
Now with David Carr playing, right? Didn't David Carr the
Derek
quarterback?
Carr. Yeah, Derek Carr. But yeah,
Derek Carr. I get my
yes,
cars mixed
I
up,
do
but
too. Yeah.
anyway, but I thought the Vikings looked tremendous, and the Giants maybe are that bad, but you know, look like a playoff team to me, baby.
Ooh, I don't know. I
Well,
gotta see. We
but
gotta see more.
remember
We'll
that
see. They got.
40-some% of the league goes to the playoffs,
That's
so
true. We
it's
got
not a
tougher games ahead for sure. That was probably one of the easier ones they're gonna have. But it was a road game, and they looked really good. They looked really good. So you can be optimistic about them for a little while. They didn't get to play Rhode Island, but
no,
they get
no.
but that'll make you feel better about yourself.
Every when I God love them playing Rhode Island. Uh, let's stop saying that they proved anything.
Yes,
Okay,
agreed,
against
100%
Rhode
agreed.
Island, you know that 500,000 they paid them to come in. By the way, they're paying 1.2 million for Nevada to come
Wow.
in, according to Randy Johnson's thing. So apparently they've stopped trying not to tell us how much they're paying these teams because they last time we made them more. We did one of those freedom of information
Hmm.
things, and they had to admit how much they're paying
Now they just tell us.
these teams. They, I didn't look at the crowd. How do we pack them in for the Rams or not?
The
Did
student
we
section
have
looked pretty good, but the
Did we have
no.
$500,000 total in ticket sales for them?
They probably did, but yeah, I'm sure
Uh,
they did. But it was yeah, that again, I think your point was the right one. That didn't prove much. Brosmer threw the ball well, great. That's fine. Nevada will be a little bit of better test, but like the bare minimum for hey, they turn this around is let's see it against a Big Ten team, right? Like because they were terrible against North Carolina. North Carolina's not going to be very good this year, and they
no,
lost to them at home, and they look bad doing it. So
that's
that's my
right.
opinion still of them right now.
Meanwhile, Lynx Fever's
Yes,
allowed right now.
yes, yeah, they're great.
They're playing great, and they beat the Fever, who were red hot. So, is
Yes,
there any chance they end up with Caitlin in the first round?
that's a good question. I was just
Uh,
looking at the standings right now. The
Now, do you go
Fever
by Western Conference standings, or just you go by just
whole
the
league,
whole
whole
league?
league. There is
So
a
they're going to be the
chance.
two seed. They're going to be
Yeah,
right now.
well,
It looks like the two seed.
right now they're the two, but they're only a game ahead of Phoenix. Or I'm sorry, not Phoenix. The Sun, Connecticut. So when they're 3 games back of the Liberty. So yeah, it looks like they're going to be the 2 or the 3. The Fever are the 6 right now. So
That'd be good if you
there's a
get Caitlin
possibility.
first. But what do they play the first round? 2 out of 3.
Ah, man, they've changed the format so many times over the years. I can't remember
Yeah.
where they're at with the
Well, it was
first round.
one game there for a
I
while. I don't
think
know.
it's a I think it's like I think it might be a best of 5 again now in the first round because I think
Okay.
they might have done away with some of the weirdness that they were doing with the playoff rounds
Well, they're trying to make their players not go to Europe and
yes,
Asia and all those places,
right,
and so they're not quite as worried about getting the season done as they used to be. But
right, right.
they're good,
They're good. Yeah.
and so that's
26
they
and
could have
9.
been better if they drafted Angel Reese, but they're good.
Oh,
So
she's out for the year now too. I
yeah,
saw
well,
that.
she
Got
is.
injury, but yeah, she was good.
Did
Yeah.
Has Philly played yet? Has she played in
She
a
hasn't
month
played
or so?
much. She has
She's
not played
very
much. She had that 20-point game earlier in the year, and we really haven't
yes.
seen much from her since. So we'll see. Maybe
No.
she's more of a long-term project, but aren't we
Well,
all?
we gotta increase that post-Maya playoff victory total from 2, so he could maybe double that this year.
That's a classic square on your bingo card. I love when you go to that one.
You always bring that one back whenever possible.
All right,
righty, Vikes good,
it.
Twins bad. Bottom line.
All right, we'll see you next week.
See you, bye.